I'll get it. I will get it right one of these times. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the Nutrition Detective around these here YouTube parts. And we're going to go over a couple things today. So first off, because I want you all to know that unlike other health gurus on the internet, I'm a real person. And I've had real health issues in my life. And right now, one of the topics we're going to go over today is a new theory of mine on what seasonal allergies really are. And am I suffering from them? Yes, right now you may see like kind of the redness around my eyes and the kind of, the puffiness here. And you're going to hear me sniffling, and I might even sneeze during this. And some of the haters out there are going to go, "Oh my gosh, see, look, he's not healthy. Oh my God." Oh, hello, Sabrina. Nice to have you here. And when you understand potentially more about what seasonal allergies are, that's a word designed to distract you from what the cause is of it and why some people might be reactive. I'm not going to say sensitive to, reactive to the toxins in the air, right? If it's an immune system reaction, it should only happen. I mean, it should happen all the time, right? If it's an immune system issue. If it's a toxicity reaction, that only happens during certain times of year when there are very specific toxins in the air, and it's a reaction of the body to expel those toxins. And your body, my body, is one that expels them that way. My father had it. My son has it. My daughter has it. And everybody at my daughter's dance school is sniffling and coughing and all of this. So it seems that there's a something in the air causing this reaction. It doesn't mean somebody's immune system is necessarily weak. It may be quite the opposite. But they would love for you. And then what do? We take things to shut it down. If it's a toxicity reaction to expel toxins and you shut down your toxin frontline reaction, do you think that would be good or bad for you? What would that allow those toxins to do? Penetrate deeper, maybe? Cause deeper health issues later? This is what we work on here. And so if people out there, let me just tell you right now, folks, if you want to make a comment about me not being in perfect health, my block finger is so strong. I don't take any time for that. Just leave the channel now. Or leave my social media channels, because I waste no time on you. This would be like people who watch a football team and then they would say, well, the coach doesn't look like he could play football. That's the stupidest thing ever. Does a football coach have to be able to play football at an advanced age to be able to coach? No. Do I have to be in perfect health to figure this stuff out? No. Do you think my health issues in my life are why I'm here figuring this stuff out? Maybe. That's what an intelligent person would figure out. We learn from our mistakes, do we not? Can I help other people with their health issues through my own health issues? And if I never had those health issues, do you think I'd be here wanting to figure them out? No. It is through my own interest in helping my health and then realizing that I was good at figuring out stuff and helping other people. That's why I'm here. Doctor, heal thyself, right? That's what I do. And I was a little upset this year when my seasonal allergies came around again. I was hoping that they were going to be gone for good. They aren't. But then when you start to see the toxicity reaction that I'm going to go over here, you may start to understand why I'm not worried about it. Is it annoying? Oh gosh, absolutely annoying. Absolutely annoying. So I wanted to go over something else first. There is someone who sent me a message in the Love Your Liver network, 1,300 members strong at members.nutritiondetective.com. That is my do-it-yourself option program. If you want to work with me doing the testing and the consultation and the follow-ups and the support, that's different. That's at nutritiondetective.com under consultation. So if you want the best I have, that's working directly with me. Not everybody does that. Everybody who works with me gets access to the Love Your Liver program because that's the do-it-yourself part that you need to do. I help people with the testing and consultation where they can get deeper troubleshooting and deeper help. But somebody in the Love Your Liver program sent me this. This is going to be really cool, right? Your body can do amazing, amazing things to heal itself and even correct things that conventional medicine, like victimhood medicine, would tell you can never be fixed. Grant Genereux has said he actually believes his scoliosis is correcting itself. We've had lots of other people tell us that they've had interesting bony, like discomforts and other things come up. And then long-time problems go away. Is the body actually remodeling bone once the vitamin A toxicity that destroys bone, well known, over 3,000 units a day of vitamin A will give you osteopenia, osteoporosis. Why do you think there's an osteopenia and osteoporosis epidemic in the world that is only getting worse? We now have confirmed DEXA evidence of reversing bone density loss and actually building bone density. Do I put people on vitamin D supplements? No, I have them avoid them. Do I put people on calcium supplements? No, I have them avoid them. How am I doing this? We avoid toxicity. We give the body the nutrients that it needs to run the system correctly. The human body's amazing with calcium in terms of holding it, recycling it, not needing extra to be put in. Anyway, let's go into this. So this is basically a testimonial. I'm not going to say this person's name. This is a private message to me, so no one even in the network knows who this person is. But let me read this person's message to me. Here we go. Quote, do you so happen to have scientific papers that show a link between carotenoid toxicity and the inability of the larynx to reach a lower or higher pitch? Continuing on. Coinciding with my congenital hypogonadism as a male, I always had an unnaturally high-pitched voice that even rivaled women's voices. Even when I analyzed my vocal pitch using a voice pitch analyzer app, my vocal pitch would go, quote, off the charts in the female range. Usually the lowest I could send it was just below the androgynous zone or the upper part of the male vocal range. As I keep doing this low vitamin A diet, and it's been maybe 1 to 2 months, I seem to be clearing a whole bunch of crap from my airways, and I could swear that my vocal pitch is getting deeper. I especially noticed this happen today right after a good phlegm release, and even my app confirms that my deepest voice is at least a bit lower than my usual deepest voice. This situation sort of reminds me of another guy's story about his situation. His voice was gradually deteriorating as the years passed by, and regardless of how he carefully practiced his singing, his vocals would only degrade over time. He used to be able to sing at a high pitch, but eventually found it impossible. I'm guessing he had the standard diet full of toxic substances. End quote. Okay, so one of the principles that I promote here is that the poison always wins. Such as when, let's say, someone is constantly working on their voice. and yet it continues to deteriorate. What's winning? What if it's toxicity? We have somebody here saying that as they avoid the poison known as vitamin A, and they do the other things on the program, which is avoiding other toxins, poisons that most people don't know about, he is clearing. Wait, this is going to tie. This is why I wanted to do this today. In terms of seasonal allergies, as he clears more crap out of his airways are dumping poison into the mucus, the phlegm, and his voice is deepening. Would you ever believe that's possible? Have you seen my labs video, my personal labs video about how I've raised my testosterone into the high normal range at 46? And this gentleman says he's had congenital hypogonadism. That's basically you're born with low testosterone production. And he's had a very high voice because he didn't have the natural testosterone to change his vocal cords. We have my evidence and another 45-year-old man's evidence of bringing his testosterone up to 757 now. And now we have another gentleman who is with congenital hypogonadism, low testosterone from birth, now saying that his vocal cords are, his voice is deepening. His vocal cords are changing. Do you understand what we are dealing with here? Have you noticed how men overall have become less manly? Have I told you here before that vitamin A is estrogenic and stimulates aromatase, which turns testosterone into estrogen? Copper is extremely estrogenic. Maybe you've heard me here talking about how copper is so poisonous to us. And then we have all the copper pushers out there who seem to just be aging so quickly and getting so whiny and feminine. They really get whiny, don't they? Irritability goes along with a sick liver. It's not a coincidence, folks. Maybe those of you on the low vitamin A program, whether you're with me or not, may want to comment about how your patience and irritability has improved as you've been on the program, which is a sign of a healthier liver. So anyway, vocal cords, allergies, phlegm, mucus. How does this all connect into the other topic I wanted to go into today, which seasonal allergies are a toxicity reaction. Allergic type reactions are toxicity. Did I ever claim that I was out of being toxic? I did not claim that. Have I gotten rid of pretty much all of my health issues other than this seasonal allergy issue that stays around? Yeah. Did I ever say I was done? No. Are we ever going to be done in this world that has been created around us? This entire world around us is toxic. Do you think naively that you're going to get to a point where you're like perfectly clean and you're not going to have to detox? I'm sorry, you've been misled. I mean, maybe if you go, what pristine area of the world are you going to go live in by yourself, not use modern materials? Oh, definitely. But don't use fire either, because breathing in those, I forget the word, the hydrocarbons, the ones that are the burned off. Don't breathe smoke, because that's poison. Wait, there's going to be plants out there that make pollen, which contains toxicity. If you're living in the modern world, cities, you don't get to avoid, you can do your best. We are all doing our best to minimize the exposure to toxicity. We're avoiding toxins that other people are saying are good for you. And that's why we're getting results that are unlike anybody else these days. We're seeing physical changes in the body. Like the body is actually changing. It's not just some like, oh, my little symptom got better. We're actually changing the structure of the system because the system can fix itself when it's not overly toxic and we give it the nutrition that it needs. That is the whole basis of what we do here. Stop putting the poisons in the body, and then the body amazingly can start getting rid of them, even stored ones, and give the body what it needs. That's what we do here. Why aren't other people doing this? Why are all of my naturopathic colleagues who were in my class taught this in philosophy class? And they're not doing it. Or maybe they think they're doing it. Giving herbs and homeopathics and sticking needles into people. Nobody has a needle deficiency. Nobody has an acupuncture needle deficiency. Nobody has a Chinese herb deficiency. Nobody has an herbal supplement deficiency. Nobody has an essential oil deficiency. Nobody has a homeopathic deficiency. Nobody has an alkaline water deficiency. If you have bones, it's really hard to have a calcium deficiency because you got a bank of calcium in your body, don't you? So anyway, let's get into the seasonal allergies thing, since it's a big topic to me right now. Now, some of you may not have seen my asthma and allergy in children link. I'm putting this up right now in the live chat. Let's just go over here. Asthma and allergy in children. So allergy, right? Atopy. They call it atopy or atopic. Like atopic dermatitis would be an allergic dermatitis, or atopy is just general allergic type stuff. But you all can go to this article later and see the quotes. Now, if you're such a person who would say, well, this is your website, Dr. Smith, how do I know that the stuff here is legit? Every study is linked to PubMed or the journal that pushed it, the journal that published it. I collect them and put them all together on this old forum. I'm saving you work. Some people are really lost. Anyway, here, let's go through some of these papers. I'll try to just read the titles of them. Early infant multivitamin supplementation is associated with increased risk for food allergy and asthma. 2004. Early infant multivitamin supplementation is associated with increased risk for food allergy and asthma. That seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? Don't take multivitamins, folks. They're garbage. Gosh, what contributed to my vitamin A toxicity and maybe my allergies? Do you know that as a kid, I was always into health. I used to take my Flintstone multivitamins every day. I was very good about it. I even, as a child, I'm not a normal person. I learned how, I trained myself. I saw my parents taking pills once in a while. My parents weren't big on medications, but I saw my parents like once in a while, they'd take an aspirin or whatever. And I thought, oh, taking pills looks like a skill I'm going to need later in life. So I started training myself how to swallow Flintstones vitamins. If you understand how sharp Flintstones vitamins are on the edges, that is not a fun thing to do. If you get them wrong, oh boy, that will scrape up your throat. But I learned how to do it. I learned how to do it well. And now if I wanted to, I could take 50 pills at once in one handful. I don't have to take that many pills anymore. Our people on this program take way fewer supplements than they ever have generally in their life. People who have never taken supplements, obviously they're going to take more with working with this. If you want to fix your zinc level, and even the beef doesn't have the zinc in it that it's supposed to, and vitamin A detox or copper detox will use more zinc than what food could even do by itself, and you refuse to supplement and you refuse to test, well, good luck. I hope you get it right. So anyway, what does multivitamins have in them, folks? Do they have copper? Yes. Do they have vitamin A? Yes. Do they have vitamin D? Yes. Do they have iron? Yes. Do they have calcium? Yes. All these things that I tell people not to take. Weird that they would increase food allergy and asthma. Here's another paper, effect of early intake of fruit or vegetables in relation to later asthma and allergic sensitization in school-age children, 2005. I'm going to read one specific line from this. Whereas allergic sensitization at school age seemed to increase with extra vitamin and cod liver oil supplements during infancy. Boy, you Weston A. Price people and your cod liver oil, you better listen to this, wondering why your kids are getting sicker every generation you have them and why your kids are all so allergic to everything. It's your fault. Accept it. Stop poisoning them. Rancid fermented cod liver oil is even worse. Here, let's another paper, 2011. The role of latitude, ultraviolet radiation exposure, and vitamin D in childhood asthma and hay fever. That's seasonal allergies. An Australian multi-center study. Here's the quote. Oral supplementation with cod liver oil in childhood increased the odds of a history of having both asthma and hay fever. Both. Oral supplementation with cod liver oil. What is in cod liver oil that I tell people not to put in your cake hole? Vitamin A and vitamin D. Weird. What do both of those things do in the blood? They raise calcium. Another paper, 2018, vitamin A and D intake in pregnancy, infant supplementation, and asthma development, the Norwegian mother and child cohort. Let me just see if I can find one line in this. Conclusions. Or no, let's go into results. Asthma increased according to maternal mother intake of total vitamin A, retinol activity equivalents, in the highest compared with the lowest quintile. Conclusions, excess vitamin A over 2.5 times the recommended intake during pregnancy was associated with increased risk of asthma in the children at 7 years old. Conclusions, in this study, we found that a diet naturally high in vitamin A, food-based vitamin A, folks. Stop with the nonsense that natural vitamin A is somehow different than synthetic vitamin A and that one of them is harmful and one of them is not. That is complete BS. You've been fed a lie. You've been fed bad chemistry, bad science, bad biochemistry from liars. Maybe they realize it, maybe they don't, in the health food industry. In this study, we found that a diet naturally high in vitamin A combined with the use of supplements containing retinol, for those of you retinol worshipers, during pregnancy placed women at risk of vitamin A excess, which was associated with increased susceptibility to asthma in school-age children. We observed this effect for intakes that were 2.5 times the recommended dose, which is below the tolerable upper intake level for retinol of 3,000 micrograms per day during pregnancy. 3,000 micrograms per day is different than 3,000 IUs a day. Tolerable upper intake level. I want you to understand what they just said there. Tolerable upper intake level is the level that they say is generally safe, and above the tolerable upper intake level is where the problems begin. They just said that the problems were starting below the tolerable upper intake level. But did they change the tolerable upper intake level? No. Because do they mind if you keep poisoning yourself? Not really. So, let's see. I'm not going to go through that paper, but there is another paper. Let me put this other link here about retinoic acid. Let me just read the title of the paper. Coadjuvant effects of retinoic acid. That's the active form of vitamin A, folks. That's what your body metabolizes, detoxifies beta carotene, other carotenoids, and retinol they turn it into retinoic acid, the active form of vitamin A. Foods raise retinoic acid levels. It's been shown that fruits and vegetables containing carotenoids raise retinoic acid levels in the body. Same thing as, typically they're talking about all trans retinoic acid, which is the same thing as retin A. Coadjuvant effects of retinoic acid and interleukin 15, IL-15, induce inflammatory immunity to dietary antigens. Inflammatory immunity. What the hell is that? I'm going to read the last line of this. I want to show you how they lie to you in the research. They are lying to you. They just made that title, and people are going to see in there and say, oh, it gave immunity to dietary antigens. Altogether, here's the last sentence of the quote I took out of it. Altogether, these findings reveal an unexpected role for retinoic acid and interleukin 15 in the abrogation of tolerance to dietary antigens. The abrogation of tolerance. Do you know what abrogation means? Withdraw, rescind, revoke, or cancel, also known as removing. They removed the tolerance to dietary antigens. They made them more allergic, more sensitive to the dietary antigens. Do you understand? They removed tolerance. They became intolerant. You remove tolerance, you increase intolerance. They're lying to you in the research because they don't want to say, here, let me read the other sentence here. As a result, in a stressed intestinal environment, retinoic acid, active vitamin A, acted as an adjuvant. Where do they use adjuvants? Pokies, maybe? As an adjuvant that promoted rather than prevented inflammatory cellular and humoral responses to fed antigens. Retinoic acid promoted inflammatory responses to antigens. Okay. So now that we've gone through all of that, here's another quote from this paper. These observations caution against the use of vitamin A and retinoic acid for the treatment of autoimmunity and inflammatory intestinal disorders. Here's continuing. Indeed, a causal relationship between retinoids, vitamin A, used for the treatment of acne and inflammatory bowel disease was suggested. Acne's vitamin A toxicity, folks. Zinc deficiency is a big one with it, too. So, here's an interesting paper. I don't have they don't have an abstract, and I couldn't find the abstract at the website. Association between motherly carotenoid, vitamin A, and vitamin E levels and allergic outcomes in the offspring in the first 5 years of life. Okay. I'm going to guess, just taking a wild guess based on all the other papers I found, that it's going to be more allergic. Okay? Just taking a wild guess. So, let's get into pollen. Gosh, what are seasonal allergies? They usually say they're related to pollen. Well, doing a search here, pollen, carotenoid, PubMed. Did you know that pollen's high in carotenoids? Orange, here's the paper, orange, yellow, and white dash cream. Inheritance of carotenoid-based color in sunflower pollen. Wow, dude, you're gone. Oh. Come in here and be rude, people. Come in here and be rude. I'm not even going to read this guy's comment. that I'm ignoring him in the comments. Get rid of all this Myanks comments. Moderators. Did you know I have moderators? Get rid of this dude. Wow. Come in here and be rude. You're gone. Guess how many F's I give about keeping people here? Go ahead. Somebody actually, wow. The gall. Okay. Carotenoids of pollen pellets from certain plants. Huh. I am giving out enough free info here, folks. I have helped tons of people with this YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, I would suggest you spend time going back through the videos. I am not here to hold your hand and walk you through everything. If you want my condensed information, go to the Love Your Liver program. I have too many people to help and too many things to do to go back after all the research I've put up, after all the links I'm putting up, after all that research forum that I put up, after all the YouTube videos I've put up. If you're here to make demands of me, you won't stay. It's as simple as that. If you don't have the time to do the research and put it in, there is 100 years, 120 years of corrupt research that you've been fed. People want me to undo that in a sentence or two because they don't have the time or the energy to fix it. That's cool. That's cool. You want to fix your car yourself, but you don't have the time or the energy to go to mechanic school, then you don't get to learn how to fix your car yourself. You want to fix your body yourself, but you don't want to put in the time to learn why. And you want to listen to soundbite people on the internet who tell you do this. Because look at me on Instagram. Aren't I great? You want to do that? Cool. We are here teaching people to unlearn everything they've learned. If you are not willing to do that, or you want me to spoon feed it to you for free, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. So there's all this carotenoids in pollen. Interesting. Let's go check polyphenols. Something else I tell people not to eat, the antioxidants in plants. See if those are high. Polyphenols from bee pollen. Right there. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have fun cleaning up the comments today. Polyphenols. Influence of polyphenols on allergic immune reactions, mechanism of action. So, of course, I'm guessing they're going to say it's good for allergies. That's what they're going to say. How has humanity's health gotten ever since they started promoting resveratrol and all these polyphenols? Resveratrol is the one that they say is so good for you in wine. When you look at all these wine moms drinking all their wine, does it look like their health is getting better? Anyone can see that as people drink more alcohol over time, whether it's wine or not. Hey, you want to know what whiskey is for all of you masculine men who like to drink your bourbon and your whiskey that's done in these oak barrels? You know what gives it the color? Polyphenols. Anybody who watches people who drink bourbon and whiskey, you watch them get swollen and puffy and fat and sick. But it has polyphenols. Polyphenols are poison. Phenol. Go look up phenol. Phenol's known toxin. Oh, let's have a bunch of them together. Polyphenols. This is brilliant. Nature's obviously trying to help us. No, plants make poisons as chemical warfare because they can't move. Animals have claws and teeth and can move. They give prey even like hooves and, kicking legs and antlers. They give everybody defense. God, nature, gives us all defenses. Plants can't move, so what do? They make poisons. We can look at plants and tell how much poison they have by looking at several things. Is it brightly or strongly colored? If it is, it's telling you it's a poison on the outside. I'm talking about on the outside. Brightly or strongly colored, that's a mark of a poison. Bitter tasting or acidic tasting, mark of a poison. Strongly smelling, mark of a poison. All you essential oil people. Essential oils. Give me a break. Give me a break, essential oils. Don't get me wrong. I got duped by it too. I was using geranium oil in my water for a while. Geraniol is like half or something citraldehyde. Citraldehyde directly slows down your liver enzymes, especially ALDH, which is critical to vitamin A detox. I've made the mistakes. That's how I got here. So if you think I'm going to come through all of the mistakes I've made in my life that have taught me all these lessons and I'm going to look like a brand new car, sorry. Why would in the military, imagine if they looked at war veterans in the military who have real life experience to teach them. And they were like, well, you don't look so healthy. Why don't you look like the guys in the movies and be all buff and all this? And they've got a limp and they've got scars on their face, but they can teach you how to live. People who want me to look like I'm like pristine and just walking out of a model runway because I'm supposed to be a health expert. Good luck with that approach. I hope you find what you'll find is you'll find a 20-something who doesn't have kids, who's telling you what to eat, whose diet hasn't destroyed them yet. How many of you out there in your 20s were doing everything wrong with your health, and yet you still looked amazing and felt pretty good? You felt good enough to continue abusing your body, and then everything fell apart later. What do you think is going to happen to these influencers and these 20-something personal trainers who are all juiced up and they're trying to tell you what to eat? Do you think they're going to have 900 testosterone levels when they're 46? Most of the big carnivore guys are on testosterone replacement, and most of the big keto guys. You see all the big keto guys, Mark Sisson, Rob Wolf, they're both on testosterone. Ben Greenfield is on testosterone. The bulletproof guy is on testosterone. I'm pretty sure the carnivore MD, he's on testosterone. Who's the other guy? Saladino. I would bet money he's on testosterone. And what do? They all write articles about how testosterone replacement therapy isn't bad because they have to justify it because their diet sucks. They've ruined their testosterone. Dr. Berg, oh my goodness. That guy, look at that guy. His head's like a toothpick on a cherry on a toothpick. Let me tell you something. The way you can see atrophy in people over time is watch as their neck gets smaller compared to their head. That's one way you could watch people for like starvation or losing muscle. Do you have to have a neck? Like I have a pretty big neck. Some of that's genetic. I do also carry a decent bit of muscle on my frame. But I can tell you, when I was a vegetarian, I could show you pictures of where my collar on my shirts, like right now, I can't buy collars that fit my neck. Like it's like my neck's like a 17 and a half or bigger inches. Not huge, but big enough that most stores don't stock enough collars in my size. But I have pictures from college when I was a vegetarian, 168 pounds, where I had space. Yeah, I had like a finger's worth of space between the collars of my shirts, button down shirts, button downs. You could stick like a hand on either side in between my neck and the collar. Why is that? I was atrophying. I was losing muscle because my diet sucked. I was trying to eat like 120 to 150 grams of protein a day. I was eating all the vegetarian protein garbage, soy. I was doing eggs. I was doing dairy. Messed myself up then too. That was when I had the worst fever ever in my life. The worst flu. Do I think it was an immune thing? No, it was a toxin dump. That's what colds and flus are. They're bile dumps. Anyway, let me get to some questions today. Let me just sum up that thing. Seasonal allergies. Okay. I didn't finish that. First, okay, so let's go into this a little more. My father, great man, brilliant dentist. I used to watch him. How much is he exposed to in dentistry, toxicity wise? I mean, my dad was working before. My dad was working before they even used gloves. Okay. It was like during the HIV/AIDS phase of the 80s, which was where they started making dentists wear gloves. I don't know if you know that, but dentists didn't wear gloves. For those young folks, dentists didn't wear gloves until kind of the HIV and AIDS thing came through, and then they made them all start wearing gloves. So what do you think my dad was exposed to doing all the dentistry in people? Just hand exposure. You absorb stuff through your skin. Okay. There was the mercury amalgams that he did. He stopped very early on. Long story. I won't go into it, but the EPA corrupt. Oh God. Anyway. But what was my dad exposed to? So anyway, he gets older. And I remember as like a 20 something, I would watch my dad he would come home from work and he wouldn't have a lot of allergies going on. And I would watch him have a glass of white wine and he would, and then the sneezing would start. And I'd watch this happen. And back then I was like, Dad, don't you notice that your allergies come on when you start drinking? But I was a good son. I didn't want to, my dad, when he'd get his allergies, he would get so grumpy. Weird that alcohol affects the liver, affects the bile. Liver in Chinese medicine is the seat of anger and frustration. He would get angry and irritable, and his allergies would pop up when he put in a poison. It's like all these connect. Okay. And his allergies were rough. He was suffering. And I just didn't know how, being that I see patterns so well, and I believe my dad saw patterns pretty well too. I could never believe how he didn't see that. So anyway, there was that. Now my boy, I've talked about my son, where we weaned him from breast milk. I know my ex-wife, when she was nursing him, I know she's totally vitamin A toxic, totally copper toxic. I was not able to help her because she did not believe in what I'm doing. So the boy was born toxic. And I may have aggravated that with what I used to think of vitamin A as being good. And then when we weaned my son, we weaned him on goat milk, which is 4 times higher in vitamin A than cow milk, because I thought I was doing something good. And my son comes out and he eventually has an anaphylactic allergy to tree nuts, and he's allergic to whatever the stuff is that's in the air right now. Seasonal allergies, toxicity reaction. My dad had the problem. I have the problem. My son has the problem. What does this mean? People talk about genetics. So what does genetics set you up with? Genetics loads the gun. Environment pulls the trigger. Could I move somewhere else? Could I take all my family somewhere else and maybe the seasonal allergies would be gone? If the poison's not in the air, they go away, right? Maybe in my genetic line, we have some weaknesses to this avenue of toxicity. Do other people have their own weaknesses in other areas? Of course, everybody's got their weaknesses. Genetics loads the gun. Environment pulls the trigger. You know what they say about living in Tucson? They say if you live in Arizona long enough, you're going to develop allergies. So is it a toxin in the air that you're exposed to enough that eventually breaks you? I mean, I've lived here my entire life. All the kids in my daughter's dance class, some of them are even staying home because their allergy symptoms are so strong. My daughter's been saying this has been going on for weeks. These are 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 11-year-old girls. But on another note, so people will say seasonal allergies, right? And then you start if we think of it as a toxicity reaction, you're expelling. Think of what allergies are. Watery eyes. Would that be a good way to wash something out of the eyes? Sinuses, runny nose, snot, mucus. Would that be a good way to wash toxins out of your sinuses? What else could your body do? Sneezing. Is that not a forceful expulsion of stuff in your nasal and in your breathing passages? Yes. Does this not look like your body is all at once trying to expel something that is probably getting into these things via the air? Doesn't that make sense? So let's think about something else where, like, let's say you're around a fire, or you're a smoker, or maybe you were a smoker. Does anybody think that, like, so if you see a smoker with a bunch of nasal stuff, with a bunch of coughing, or somebody's around a fire and their eyes are getting irritated and their nose is getting irritated and they're coughing, do you immediately go, well, that person's obviously allergic to the thing they're burning and inhaling? No. You go, they got smoke in them. They inhale. So why then do we think seasonal allergies is an immune reaction to something? Why is it not a toxin reaction? And I just showed you that carotenoids in pollen and polyphenols in pollen, I believe those are toxins. Is seasonal allergy some weird immune reaction then? No. Does it mean somebody's weak in their immune system? I don't know. Do you think that if you were exposed to a toxin at the most superficial level and your body starts mounting defenses to get rid of it, does that sound like weakness to you? That's the wall. That is your wall against them entering your system. So let's say somebody with lower health, let's go into this now. Colds and flus. I run into people who tell me, well, I had cancer and I don't get sick anymore. Or I have like multiple autoimmune conditions, but I don't get sick. I don't get colds or flus. That's bad. That's really bad. That means their immune system, if you think of the immune system as a detox system, as a garbage cleanup system, that's a better way to think of it. You know what happens typically with autoimmune diseases? At first, the white blood cells go high because there's a distinct reaction to the poisons coming in. Your detox cleanup system ramps up. But over time, as you become more toxic because you keep doing the things that are causing the problem. It's well known that in autoimmune conditions, eventually your white blood cells go down. It's just the constant assault wearing it down. And then you start seeing no more colds and flus because your cleanup crew is not working anymore very well. So what do we often see as people get better? They may start getting colds and flus because they start making that. It's a long story, but they start making bile better and they're getting rid of it. They're still leaking into their system. This is, for those of you who are new, this is well beyond. I'm not backtracking today. I've already gotten deep enough into this. But allergies, seasonal allergies, are a toxicity reaction. You may already be toxic internally. Well, most of us are. Pretty much all of us are. You may be making it worse with all your fancy superfoods and all your vitamins, your standard process full of vitamin A. Oh my gosh. People are just eating like liver and all sorts of organ meats in those standard process supplements. And then I show them like how much vitamin A is in all of it. And they're like, I had no idea. But my practitioner put me on these and it's only $300 for a couple of 4 bottles. Anyway, okay. So if I'm having a toxic, I saw somebody ask about multiple chemical sensitivity and stuff like that. So if I'm having a reaction to this poison that is trying to enter my system through things that are exposed to it, and I'm having a reaction to that, should I be upset? I mean, I don't enjoy it, but could I actually also be thankful that my body is expelling it at the wall? There's a reason countries make walls, folks. There's a reason why castles have walls and moats, is because to protect the sensitive inside, you want a strong defense at the outside. Gosh, why do plants put all their bright colors and poisons on the outside of them? Do you think they're using the same strategy? Walls protect the sensitive interior by making a hard, strong reaction at the exterior. Now think about our southern border. It's weak. It's leaking everything. So, well, we have lots of comments today. This is great. I'm happy for that. I'm going to get into those now. So anyway, seasonal allergies, if you think of them as a toxicity reaction, maybe you can think differently about it. And if you decide to shut it down with pharmaceuticals or herbal supplements, you may get some symptom relief. You may be making yourself more toxic along the way. Is that a decision that you as an adult get to make? Yep. Do antihistamines and other things like that. Go look up antihistamines and liver injury and cholestasis. Do they damage your liver? Yeah. So, okay. Oh, I wanted to read Hope's initial comments here. She says, something I've been curious about lately. At what point does one's body start adding muscle versus just losing fat? I have been getting smaller, but not losing weight. So I am guessing I am losing fat and building muscle, which is why I am asking. This would just be a shift. So you could be losing water weight, which would tend to be going along with inflammation. You could, so they say, yes, as is said and is true, muscle is denser than fat, which means muscle takes up less room, less space, less volume than fat. So if you were getting smaller in size, yet not losing pounds or kilograms on the scale, you're getting, in a way, your density, your size is getting smaller, your weight is staying the same. So you're actually becoming denser. Now, the other thing that could happen is you could be building bone. you could be making your bones denser. Isn't that what they measure in bone density scanning? Now we have confirmed that we have increased bone density in a person who was losing it every year prior. So your bones could be becoming more dense. Your muscles, you could be building muscle and losing fat at the same time. And all of that could result in you're losing tissue overall in a good way, but you're staying the same weight. So your size is shrinking, but you stay the same weight. Absolutely. Yes. Ramon asked, Dr. Smith, from a liver detox perspective, what is your take on cruciferous vegetables, cooked or raw? Neither. Cruciferous vegetables are, for the most part, garbage. All of the modern cruciferous vegetables did not exist until humans hybridized them into existence. So weird that humans created cruciferous vegetables, and now everybody's just like, cruciferous vegetables are the greatest thing for detox ever. So full of sulfur. Yay. No. Do not emphasize sulfur in your diet unless you want to slow down your aldehyde dehydrogenase and deplete your B1 and get horrendous sulfur farts and deplete your molybdenum and all that stuff. So no, cruciferous vegetables, can they be eaten on occasion? Sure, especially the ones that don't have a lot of color, like high vitamin A or high polyphenols or other stuff like that. So you're thinking like, we're talking like cauliflower, which is white. We're talking like light green cabbage. If you wanted to do these things, make them rare. Do not think that people are eating more cruciferous vegetables now than ever. Are we seeing less cancer? We've been lied to about everything. If you see cruciferous vegetables pushed by the mainstream, pushed by the alternative community, wrong. That's how, there's one way you go, oh, wow, this is really bad. Yeah. Oh, Hope was reminding people, don't forget to like the video. So folks, if you want to help this get out to more people, if you're in the chat right now, X out of the chat. You won't miss anything. X out of the chat, like the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you want to post comments, you got to subscribe during the live chat. But yeah, liking the video is how it helps this become more popular. That's how this works. So if you don't have the energy to do that to help the channel and you want more people to see this, I don't know what else you can do. Because sharing YouTube links on social media, most of the social media that isn't Google kind of suppresses it. Doesn't kind of. So just be aware of that. Like maybe you've noticed if you post YouTube videos on other social media, you don't get many people to see it. They're supposedly in competition. They wouldn't all be working together in some weird way. Couldn't happen. So, SO asks, what is hidradenitis suppurativa and what steps to take to curing it or getting rid of it? Thank you. The same stuff we do all the time. We fix the liver. We stop putting in toxins. We give the body what it needs. Same thing. Pierre was joking. Wait. So you're not a CGI or hologram? No, I am not. Actually, I got a really great comment on one of the YouTube videos from Matthew about how I was anti-gaslighting. And I really appreciate that comment, Matthew. It was because I'm not just telling people to deny what they're seeing. Like people are going, Doc, I'm getting sick. And the doctor goes, well, you're just getting older. It's just a fact of life. And I'm telling him, no, that's not supposed to happen. They're gaslighting you. They are lying to you in every single possible way that they can. They've been lied to that people could actually get better. I've had people who are pharmacists come to me, and one guy was like, I said, oh, so you're a pharmacist. And I was kind of like grinning, like knowing like this has to be hard for you because you're giving people poison all day long. I didn't say that, but he was joking, but he was kind of being dramatic, but joking. He was going, yeah, I hate my life. And I was like, there's truth in there. Could you imagine? I mean, okay, there was a woman I knew. She had graduated college and she was trying to decide what to do afterwards. And she was thinking about going to the pharmacist school at the University of Arizona because you can make really good money as a pharmacist. And I said to her, I was telling her about my school, which I don't know if I'd send people there anymore. I don't know if I. Do you know that at my old naturopathic medical school, they made people, the students who wanted to go into the clinic. This is a naturopathic medical school. They have the clinic. During the demic of the pans of the COVID, students to go into the clinic, they had to either have gotten the pokey or they had to test every single day they wanted to go into the clinic. And now at the naturopathic conventions, they have keynote speakers who are MDs. When they had all keynote speakers at the naturopathic convention who were MDs, not NDs, not people like me, we had outsiders at our convention giving the keynote speeches. I went, I'm never going back to this again. Later, I saw some emails coming from the national organization where they were emphasizing diversity and inclusion. And I realized the rot that had set in. That's enough on that. Sarah asks, what is multiple chemical sensitivity in detail? How does it start and how to get rid of it? Multiple chemical sensitivity is a very sick liver. The liver cannot deal with the toxins that it already has to deal with. And so when you have an exposure to another toxin come in, you're already toxic. You can't get rid of the toxins you already have. So that toxin that comes in just simply builds up in your blood and you have a reaction to it. That's why it's multiple. That's why so many things in multiple chemical sensitivity are reactive. That's why people start saying, I react to everything. I used to have a woman who came to me who was poisoned by a big name practitioner by cod liver oil via cod liver oil. She was a protocol person. And they kept upping her cod liver oil. They not only, so she was doing the normal dose of cod liver oil. And she says, I'm not getting better. I'm not getting better. They doubled down. They gave her a double dose of cod liver oil. I'm not getting better. I'm getting worse. I'm not getting better. You want to know what they did then? They tripled down. They tripled her dose. Then she had a mini stroke. Sounds like they were really helping her, doesn't it? She had a mini stroke. She goes to her neurologist. Neurologist tells her, based on what this woman tells her she's been taking and what she's been eating, you're vitamin A toxic, I bet. She runs her labs. She's vitamin A toxic. Who does she find? She finds me. She's got multiple chemical sensitivity so bad she has to sleep outside on the concrete at night. Because inside the house, the flooring, the paint, the cleaning supplies, whatever she has in the house, she can't handle breathing the air inside her own house. There's also Sue Jones, who is one of the moderators on this channel, and she's in the network too, who was multiple chemical sensitive, who is not anymore. This woman, she started doing the program. 3 months later, instead of being basically on the equivalent of disability and having to sleep outside, she is now able to sleep inside and she's back to working a full-time job. Multiple chemical sensitivity is a liver, absolutely rooted in toxic bile liver problem. Skin problems, hidradenitis suppurativa, is absolutely related in toxic bile leaking into the blood and coming out through the skin because the liver can't handle the toxicity. The kidneys can't handle the toxicity. So then it's pushing it out through the skin and it's irritating the skin on its way out. It's all connected. Sameli asks, if fruits like banana feel good, what is your take on it? I love bananas. They're low in vitamin A. They're high in potassium. Generally try to, so this is, let me show you how people can't think these days. As bananas get more and more ripe, brown, as they get more and more brown, they do manufacture formaldehyde in them. This is why if you eat a banana that's too brown, you get nauseous. You feel sick. You feel gross. This is also why when you have overly ripe bananas, what is the only thing you can do with them? You can make banana bread. What's the big thing in banana bread? What did you do to those bananas? You cooked them. When you cook them, you off-gas the formaldehyde. That's why you can eat a bunch of overly ripe bananas in banana bread, because when you cooked it, you cooked off the formaldehyde. This is the toxicity that you get to learn about in the Love Your Liver program. This is stuff they don't tell you. It's an aldehyde. That is what is why when you have overly ripe bananas, why they don't feel good. So if I say, if you're going to eat bananas, it's better to eat them more towards the green side versus the brown side. Let me tell you what people who can't think in the gray area do. They go, oh, Dr. Smith said to eat green bananas. Did I say that? Is there a spectrum of bananas between green and brown? There's a huge spectrum. Did I just say if you're going to eat bananas, it's better to eat them more towards the green side than more towards the brown side? This is not difficult. If you are having trouble understanding that this is a spectrum and that you're an adult and you have to make decisions on a gray spectrum, not black and white, gray every day, you may not be able to do this work with me. We don't live in a black and white world. So, I love bananas. I eat 2 of them a day most days. They're one of the few sources of potassium that is also low in vitamin A. I tell people that vitamin A blocks potassium channels. I have the research. And weird that so many high potassium foods are also high vitamin A foods. Do you think that maybe nature, God, had to protect the plants themselves from the poisons they make? Weird that a lot of people are like, well, this nutrient's really high in high vitamin A foods, and this nutrient's really high in high vitamin A foods, and this nutrient's really high in high vitamin foods. How am I supposed to get these nutrients if I can't eat all these high vitamin A foods? I go, they're there for a reason, because the plant has to protect itself too. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to find foods that are low in vitamin A and polyphenols and all this other stuff that also has some decent potassium. As people get less toxic, they start needing less potassium over time. So, okay, so Hope was talking about, I believe she was talking about seasonal allergies, or irritability and stuff like that. Hope was saying mine has, I believe she's talking about irritability, mood stuff. Mine has majorly. Not as anxious around semis anymore. I used to have to hold my breath when next to or near one. Not anymore. Yeah, that's, or you're talking about chemical sensitivity, stuff like that. Yes. So can we see, here's the thing. As people get cleaner, less toxic, there's a couple things that can happen, that do tend to happen. Do people become more tolerant of toxins? Like for people who used to walk down the aisle at the supermarket where there's the detergents the laundry detergent and the soaps and all these chemicals like the fabric softeners and all that garbage. And they used to get a headache when they would walk down that row, and it might ruin them for 3 days. That's not resilience. That's not tolerance, right? That's a very sick liver. As we get their liver better, over time, they're able to go down that aisle. But also, because people are feeling better, when they start smelling toxins, how does nature mark poisons? Strong smells. So as you get less toxic, your body may, as you go around strong smells and you smell it, you go, I want to get out of here because I know this is toxic. So could you become more intelligent about avoiding toxins? Yes. Do you feel better? Yes. So then your body do you become less tolerant of feeling bad? Yeah. So you go, I don't want to be there because I'm not going to feel good. But can you also become more tolerant so you don't get, like, let's say, the migraine headaches where it lays you in bed for 3 days after that? Yeah. Do you have a long way to go? If you have multiple chemical sensitivity, do you have a long way to go? Yes, your liver is extremely toxic. Is this going to be over in a couple months like that one woman that I told you about? No, that's like when they have the weight loss commercials where they're like, results may vary. These results are not typical. That is not typical results. But the woman was also being massively poisoned with cod liver oil by people who don't know what they're doing, who double down and triple down when people are getting worse. When I hit my head against the wall, doc, it hurts and I start bleeding. No, here's what you should do, sir. Please bang your head harder against the wall. Do it faster. I want you to hit your head twice as many times in a minute than you were doing before, and you'll probably get better. Doc, I tried that. It's getting worse. No. Okay, we need to triple it. Let's triple it. Bang your head against the wall 3 times as fast, 3 times as hard. That'll probably fix it. That will remove any weakness you have to hitting your head against the wall. And then the person's brains are just mashed all over the wall. Do not double down or triple down thinking that you're just not doing enough. If you're feeling bad when you go on something, this is very simple. This should be taught in medical schools. If you have a patient who takes something and they feel worse from it, stop. Why am I the voice of reason out here saying this stuff? Why am I the only person out here saying this stuff? So Pierre was making, so let's go into individualism. Pierre said here after Hope makes her, banana comment, Pierre says, I'm a fermentative type, which I go over in the probiotics section of the Love Your Liver program. I'm a fermentative type, so even one banana can give me problems. Meanwhile, I can eat insane amounts of beans, oats, oat bran, psyllium husk, etc. LOL. Pierre is using his brain, as is Hope. Hope feels good. We eat bananas quite often without issues. I feel good when I do this. I feel good when I eat bananas. Okay, I'm going to eat bananas. Pierre says bananas give him problems, so he doesn't eat them. He eats other things instead. Am I going to say that either of them is wrong or either of them is wrong? Are they both right? Yes. Doc, I feel good when I eat this. I don't feel good when I eat that. Listen to your body. This should not be rocket science. But you also have to watch out for, as I joke, crackheads love crack. It doesn't mean it's good for them. Like when some people out there say, when I take copper, I get lots of energy. Well, you could take amphetamines and get lots of energy. That doesn't mean it's good for you. Cyclists in the Tour de France, like back in the 1910s, 1920s, used to take strychnine. to ride harder and faster. Does that mean it's good for them? Then they moved on to speedballs, like cocaine and heroin, to ride faster. Does that mean it's good for them? Does anything about performance enhancing drugs? This guy's got the world record. He's taking drugs. Does that mean he's doing something healthy? Things you have to take to get a certain effect are drug-like effects. If that effect fades away after you stop taking it and you feel worse if you don't take it, that's a drug. That's a drug-like effect. And Pierre says, fruit has always given me various issues. I actually feel like, I'm actually a putrefactive type, which again, we go over that stuff in the Love Your Liver program. I actually feel like I could have a very good, I could be very pleased if somebody told me you get to eat like 2 foods for the rest of your life. 2 foods. Pick those 2 foods. I would say I would probably do really well on beef or some other red meat and either bananas or apples. I could do just fine on that diet. Maybe even oats. I could throw oats in there, but I would tell you that with what I know about my body, I feel better on bananas or apples. And all I do is listen to my body. I know I can eat a banana or an apple and go work out immediately after that and have no problems. My stomach doesn't feel anything wrong. Actually, what I do in the morning, my pre-workout little meal is a beef stick and a banana. And I go immediately work out on that. Doesn't fill me up and it doesn't feel like any problem in my stomach. That's one way you can tell if foods are good is if you if you could work out within a half hour of eating that food, that's probably a pretty decent food for you. And I know that I can do that with those foods. So I do. Van Gieser comments, this is a good comment. Humidity, lakes, cloud cover does a lot to seasonal allergies, supports mold growth. Brilliant comment. What does mold make? Mycotoxins. Let me tell you a story about mycotoxins. My buddy, a good buddy of mine from naturopathic medical school, has a family, has kids. He was in the Pacific Northwest and he decided to go back and move back to Pennsylvania, which is where he was raised. And he takes his family back there and they had a mold problem in their house. And his son was having real health problems. So he went and he got all the mold problems taken care of in his house. Like I would advocate, like you deal with the source of the mold. Don't do fancy blood tests and don't do mold detoxes until you've gotten rid of the mold. Put your money into getting rid of the source first. Don't do mold detox. If you have mycotoxins running through your system all the time, they're coming from somewhere. Get rid of the source. So he did this. He was getting rid of the mold. I may have talked to him about this. I may have been like, do you think it's mold? And he was like, oh yeah, we got a problem in our basement. I was like, you got to get rid of that. I think we had that conversation. So he did it all. Spent a ton of money getting rid of it. And they had actually moved back to the Pacific Northwest while they were fixing the house. And they came back to that house. And he's like, within like a week or two, his son's problems were all back. And he said he was talking to some people in the area about it, like, natives, people who live there their whole lives. And this one guy said, basically like, bro, there's mold everywhere here. He said, go out in the forest, go out in the trees where all the leaves have fallen and go and lift up those leaves. Guess what he found under all those leaves out there? Mold upon mold upon mold upon mold. He cleaned out his house. But all around his house, in the air and the air coming into his house, there's mold. He decided that he could not have his son live there because the source of the mold could not be removed. Okay. So then his son was better when they moved away from there, and he stayed better. There was also a funny thing he told me about in that area. So Pennsylvania has a lot of Lyme disease problems. And he would say there was distinct cycles during the year where everybody's Lyme would kick up. Do you think it was the Lyme kicking up, or do you think it was the mold growing? We've had lots of people on the Love Your Liver program say that this little program has done more for their health than spending tens of thousands of dollars on Lyme treatment. I don't know the first thing about Lyme. I don't care. I work on their liver. We get their liver better. Their Lyme diseases seem to fade away. I'm not denying that Lyme exists. I'm saying that the root cause of one's weakness to whatever Lyme is rooted in the liver. So yeah, so mold can play a role in everything. Funny thing, when do people's seasonal allergies tend to start exploding in common? Is it right after there's a lot of big rains? A wet season? What would that cause to grow? Would that pollen? Would a lot of plants tend to start flowering? Are plants flowering here like crazy? Yes. Is there a seasonal allergy here where there's actually like yellow pollen everywhere in piles on the ground? Absolutely. What would also grow a lot after rainy seasons? Mold. Pollen and mold. Gosh, do you think these people are having an allergic reaction, or are they just breathing and being exposed to toxins? And then their body is forcefully trying to expel it out with the best options it has available. Here, let me go find that other one. Let's go. Then when you start to see, here's my post about how the body gets rid of vitamin A through the poop, the pee, the sweat, the saliva, the tears, and even the breath. Saliva and tears and probably mucus. Gosh, does that sound like allergies? An increased excretion of fluids from those areas? Oh, this is a good observation. Van Gieser says smog, distance visibility can sometimes indicate poor air quality. For those of you who are paying attention and you watch the air and you watch the skies, feel free to comment about how hazy everything's getting all the time. For those of you who want to say it's just chemtrails, that's cool. They've been spraying chemtrails forever. This is nothing new. Is it bad for you? Yes. But are they doing it more than they used to? I actually would say they're doing it less often. Do I observe things a lot? Yeah. Do I think I know here, at least here where I am, that's all I can speak from is where I am. I see them less. I see less of the hazy days. But if I look at the mountains, because here in Tucson, we're surrounded by mountains, is there a haze all the time that didn't used to be here? Yes. Why is the sunset and the sunrise, the clouds on that side of the sky, always pink now? They didn't used to be that way. Why does the sun look white instead of yellow? Why do I see so many straight lines and corners and right angles in the clouds these days? If you haven't noticed that, go look. Why do we often see patterns in the clouds that look like if you were looking at an ocean on top of you? Why do I see patterns in the clouds that look like those little, like the waves of an ocean? Why do I see ripples in clouds? Interesting things are going on. Am I going to blame mankind for all of them? No. There's other stuff going on. Well, here's Pierre says here, there's absolutely no need for calcium intake, whether through supplements, dairy, nor dark greens. I've personally gotten rid of osteoporosis by eating lots of red meat all day years ago. The thing about an all muscle meat carnivore diet, it is a very low toxin diet. Is it? Yes. Does that mean I advocate it for everyone? No. Somebody asked me about a carnivore diet the other day, what I thought of it, and I said one word answer on Facebook. I said incomplete. An all muscle meat carnivore diet. Note I didn't say dairy. I didn't say eggs. An all muscle meat carnivore diet is a low toxin diet. And we see people who in the early stages have very good results with it. It's low in copper, high in zinc, and low in vitamin A. Weird. That wouldn't go along with some of my major goals, would it? The thing about an all muscle meat carnivore diet is there's nothing in it that would help to absorb bile to get rid of it. Generally, the more bile you can bind in soluble fiber, the more you can poop out. And that is the least toxic way or the least collateral damage way of getting it out. Now, the problem is soluble fiber can increase your bile dumping, which could aggravate your symptoms if you do too much. So we go over soluble fiber in the program, and we often talk to people about how to optimize their soluble fiber intake, because too much can be a problem and too little can be a problem. Everybody gets into the more is better thing. And then they get smacked down by their own body saying, you can't do this much. That was a mistake. And then they talk on the forum to like all the 1,300 people who were giving them advice and saying, chill out. Slow it down, bucko. So yeah. Now I don't know that Pierre has his osteoporosis status confirmed. I'm not doubting what he's saying. I'm just saying I don't have, that's hearsay at this moment. Okay. But Pierre is, he's having lots of benefits. We'll put it that way. Ali says, I have more patience and less irritability now. I had a copper IUD for 4 years. I have been lowering my vitamin A. Wouldn't you think, okay, so you copper pushers, wouldn't you think that putting a copper IUD in somebody would be like the be all and end all to all human health? Wouldn't that make sense, right? You got a copper bracelet, you put on your copper knee sleeves, you put a copper IUD up in there. Like, wouldn't that fix all health problems if all the problems in the world are caused by a copper deficiency? All I know is the people who get copper IUDs are health disasters. Copper water pipes in houses, coppers in all the multis. They try to sneak copper into your zinc supplements because they say it has to be balanced. They're pushing a vegan diet, which is by definition high in copper and low in zinc. Bugs, not high in zinc. Alexi says, I think the idea is that you get enough calcium from meat, beans, and such, even if they are in small amounts. I believe that too. I always go back to this. How do cows get all this calcium to make bones that are like 4 times, Think of a cow skeleton compared to a human skeleton. What do they eat to make these gigantic skeletons? Grass? Hay? Alfalfa? Are these high calcium foods? No, they are not. How in the world do they do this? Because I believe living systems are very good at conserving and recycling calcium if we have the right conditions. Vitamin A pulls calcium out of your bones. It's in the literature. Okay. So you want to keep more calcium in your bones? Eat less vitamin A. Vitamin D, go look up vitamin D and bone resorption. Vitamin D, put into a system that doesn't want it, will pull calcium out of your bones. Isn't that interesting? Aren't they giving you vitamin D to build bones? The key thing to fixing osteoporosis, this is a whole mental shift, paradigm shift. Gosh, do we do those here? Bone loss is an inability to hold calcium in the bones. It doesn't mean there's a calcium deficiency in the system. It means there's something pulling the calcium out of the bones, or the bones can't hold on to their calcium, or the body's dumping calcium into the blood for a reason that we just haven't figured out yet. So the key thing is then not to put in more vitamin A, more vitamin D, more calcium, more boron, whatever. It's to figure out, why are the bones unable to hold onto their calcium? Because if the bones are losing calcium into the blood and you're putting calcium in, or all these things that raise calcium in the blood, like vitamin A induces hypercalcemia, vitamin D induces hypercalcemia, copper on a hair test, copper always increases calcium on the hair test. Taking calcium. So we have calcium going into the blood from the bones. We have calcium coming into the blood from the outside, induced things. Then you have tons of calcium in the bones, and then you start calcifying things. Because the body has to get the calcium out of the blood, or you're going to die. Well, it can't put it back into the bone. We just talked about this. It can't put it back into the bone. That's why you're losing it. Where does it put it? Oh, it puts it into that creaky, achy knee you have. Oh, it puts it into your brain. Oh, you mean that brain fog that you're getting and that trouble remembering things. Oh, it puts it into your heart. Let's go look at that old famous study about vitamin A, aortic. Let me put this paper in here. Increased dietary intake of vitamin A promotes aortic valve calcification in vivo. In vivo. That means in living animals. Increased dietary intake of vitamin A promotes aortic valve calcification in vivo. A lot of doctors stopped recommending vitamin D supplements and calcium supplements to osteoporotic people because what they were seeing was an increase in heart-related incidents. They couldn't be connected, could they? Fine. Let me see if I can find something easy on this. Okay, here's a paper. Just so you know, I'm not lying to you. I love when people try to act like I don't have researches and references to back up what I'm saying. Please come at me, bro. Here's the paper. Vitamin D and calcium supplements, helpful, harmful, or neutral for cardiovascular risks. Let me just start here. Despite this, more recent meta-analyses and randomized clinical trials have failed to find a beneficial effect of vitamin D supplements on cardiovascular disease and cancer outcomes. You mean vitamin D supplements don't help? Gosh, if they don't help, what do they do? Continuing. These findings, along with the lack of consensus on optimal serum 25-hydroxy vitamin D concentrations, that's blood vitamin D, have dampened some of the initial enthusiasm for vitamin D supplements. Residual confounding or reverse causation. Reverse causation. That doesn't sound good. May explain some of the discrepancy between the observational and trial results. At this time, vitamin D supplements should not be prescribed for the primary purpose of cardiovascular disease prevention. Adding to this complexity is the fact that many adults take vitamin D and calcium supplements together for bone health. And there is some concern, albeit inconclusive, related to calcium use and increased cardiovascular disease risk. In this light, it may be best to achieve the recommended daily allowances of calcium intake through food and reserve calcium supplementation only for those at risk for calcium intake deficiency with the smallest dosage needed after dietary modifications have been exhausted. In this review, we discuss vitamin D and calcium supplementation and how they may affect cardiovascular health. I need for you to understand what they're really saying there. This is how scientists are going to dance around and try to prevent their medical colleagues from getting sued into oblivion, albeit inconclusive, right? When they started telling everybody, you need to take vitamin D and calcium for your osteoporosis because it fixes it. And they're like, oh, we have to dampen our initial enthusiasm. We may have been killing people, but we're not going to say it. We're going to say, albeit inconclusive. They are lying to you. They are covering their asses. They have sent many of your friends and relatives to an early grave. And now they're saying, just try to get calcium from food, okay? Because maybe the supplements are really problems. Only supplement the minimal amount if you can't get enough from food, because we may be killing people. I'm not wrong. Continuing. Hope says, my almost 3-year-old has not had much dairy and no dark leafy greens, and he is my biggest child out of 5. His head is about the same size as my 7-year-old and almost 12-year-old, both boys as well. Hope says she started this when he was 6 months old. Bones. Bones don't like poisons. Pierre says, bone itself consists mainly of collagen fibers and an inorganic bone mineral in the form of small crystals. In vivo bone, living bone in the body, contains between 10% and 20% water. Of its dry mass, approximately 60 to 70% is bone mineral. Most of the rest is collagen, but bone also contains a small amount of other substances such as proteins and inorganic salts. Bone is not all calcium. Bone is protein. Gosh, who's out here saying that you need to make sure you get enough protein in your diet? That would be me. Think of bone as like a spider web of protein. So like the spider webs have holes, right? So a spider web of proteins that then the minerals fit in. What does this look like? What does this sound like to me? It sounds like a brick wall, right? Brick walls have mortar in between. So the bricks are the wall. The mortar is what holds it all together. The mortar's like the collagen. The bricks are like the minerals. So imagine this. Let's say medicine tells you to get more bricks. You obviously need more bricks. And you start putting all these bricks in. But for whatever reason, maybe you don't get enough protein. Maybe you don't, you're not able to make the collagen. Oh, wait, do we have studies on, Josh has posted papers about how vitamin A can inhibit collagen formation. Could that play a role in osteoporosis if you can't make the collagen that the calcium goes into? What if that's how vitamin A causes calcium to be lost from the bones, right? You can't make the collagen, you can't hold on to the calcium, and you lose the calcium, right? Imagine, let's say, all these things that improve your DEXA scan falsely. It's scanning for bone density. It's looking for calcium density, mineral density. And yet osteoporosis continues to go up. What if you built a wall out of bricks and no mortar? And you measured the density of bricks in that wall? Some of you know where I'm going with this. Because there's no mortar, right? Mortar might take up this much space. You got brick, and you got mortar that's that thick. And you repeat this over and over up the wall. If you took out the mortar, the thing that holds the bricks together, could you stack bricks on top of each other? Would it actually show as more dense bone or more dense bricks in the wall? Yes, when you measure it, somebody can say, well, there's more bricks in that wall, because there just is. There's no mortar taking up space. But if you push on that wall, or if a stiff wind comes up, does the wall hold up? Bone density scans have nothing to do with the strength of the bone. They're measuring how many bricks are there. They're not measuring the sturdiness of the collagen, the mortar. This is the paradigm shift that people have to have with bone density. We're trying to retain the calcium in there. Gosh, would that mean less calcium in the blood? Yeah. Hey, do I like that? Yeah. You want to know the 5 things in the Love Your Liver program, overly simplified here, that we do? Do the Love Your Liver program, which is the diet, avoid these toxins and get these minerals and do this. That's the Love Your Liver program is the number one thing that I have people do. Do not ever take vitamin D as in dog supplements. Number 3, get sunlight or ultraviolet B light on your skin on a regular basis, but not so much that you make yourself feel worse or burn. Did I just say to go out and get tons of sun when it makes you feel terrible? No. Listen to my words. There's always caveats. Get your sunlight or UVB on bare skin regularly, but not so much that you feel significantly worse afterwards or you burn. I just saw somebody in a Facebook group saying, I'm using a tanning lamp all the time and I feel terrible. What do you think my advice to that person would be? Doc, it hurts when I do this. Well, don't do that. Okay, number 4, topical magnesium. I have a whole section on topical magnesium in the program. Topical magnesium, 10 times as effective as pills of magnesium. Raising magnesium levels in the research. Well, here, let me find this study. I hate for people to think that I make this stuff up. Oh, pills of magnesium suck. All of them. I don't care if you 3 and 8. Yay. No, it all sucks. So I'm not going to read much of this study. This paper is Magnesium Status and Supplementation Influence Vitamin D Status and Metabolism, Results from a Randomized Trial. Simplify that, summarize it for you. Increase your magnesium levels in your body and your vitamin D levels go up. Internal vitamin D levels. Do not assume that taking vitamin D from the outside and raising your vitamin D levels through taking rat poison, Terra D3 and Decon, go look them up. Rat poison using vitamin D as their active ingredient. And I posted on Twitter the other day about how in research papers, they say that, when they accidentally put too much vitamin D in fortified milk, in supplemented, when they put the vitamin D in milk, when they accidentally put too much in there, it could kill people. So people out there trying to say, well, this is poisonous to rats and it's not poisonous to humans. You're wrong. You are wrong. I am right. You can kill people with vitamin D. Absolutely. Without a doubt. That's why it was studied in South Africa as a genocidal tool. I have that in my other video. So let's see. I think I put that paper in there. Yeah, I got it highlighted. Oh, let me read the quote from here. Our findings suggest that optimal magnesium status may be important for optimizing 25-hydroxy vitamin D status. That's the blood vitamin D that they tend to measure. Here's another paper. Magnesium supplementation in vitamin D deficiency. From the conclusion, our oh no, sorry, wrong one. Oh wow. Magnesium is essential. Oh wait, let's go over this. To date, there is no simple and accurate laboratory test to determine the total body magnesium status in humans. What do I use? I use a hair test, and I look at magnesium, and I look at calcium, and I especially look at how the magnesium relates to the calcium to magnesium ratio, if you will. Red blood cell magnesium sucks. Serum magnesium sucks. They're sitting here saying they don't have a good thing to assess it. Well, I have a pretty good thing. I know it works. Here, continuing, magnesium is essential in the metabolism of vitamin D, and taking large doses of vitamin D supplements, cod liver oil, can induce severe depletion of magnesium. Adequate magnesium supplementation should be considered as an important aspect of vitamin D therapy. Did I put that one up there? 28471. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So, and the fifth thing, zinc. Getting your zinc right. Did I say copper? No. Let me go justify this. Let's go zinc. Vitamin D. I don't like this paper. This is about Cufid. I'm gonna skip that one. So here's an interesting little paper. The zinc connection is not as easy to find because in almost all the papers, they give D supplements with zinc. So you can't separate them out. So they have this paper, The Association of Serum Levels of Zinc and Vitamin D with Wasting Among Iranian Preschool Children. The results, the prevalence of vitamin D and zinc deficiencies was 18.8% and 12.7% respectively. In addition, 31.1% of children were wasted. Not wasted as in drunk, folks. Wasted as in wasting. They were lighter than they should have been, smaller than they should have been. A significant inverse association was found between serum levels of zinc and wasting. Such that after adjusting for confounders, children in the highest tertile third of serum zinc had 47% less odds of wasting compared with those in the first tertile. So this is not a great connecting paper, I'll be honest. But as you start looking, here's another paper. In this experimental animal study, 24 pregnant rats were randomly divided into 6 groups of control: morphine, zinc, vitamin D, morphine plus zinc, and morphine plus vitamin D. I don't know what they're hoping to get out of that. Let's see. Let me see if we got anything good here. Here's this paper, Effect of Zinc, Vitamin D, and their co-supplementation on mood, serum cortisol, and brain-derived neurotrophic factor in patients with obesity and mild to moderate depressive symptoms. A phase 2, 12-week, 2x2 factorial design, double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled trial. They have all the keywords in there. Let's see if they actually said that it raised vitamin D levels. And they use zinc gluconate, which is not good. So if they got any effect on the zinc, that would say a lot. We analyzed 125 participants and a significant decrease in BDI2. What is that? BDI is, where do they tell you? Beck Depression Inventory 2. So that's depression. A significant decrease in Beck Depression Index was found among those who received zinc or vitamin D or joint zinc vitamin D supplements compared with the placebo group. Zinc was significantly more effective than vitamin D on decreasing the depression score. They're connected. They're absolutely connected. I regularly raise people's vitamin D levels with that 5-step approach. The 6th thing that can affect calcium flow in the body that is optional, that I only use based on symptoms, is vitamin K. And if somebody goes, vitamin K2? I'll go, yeah, you can, yeah. Vitamin K, not K3. K3 is synthetic. Where are you supposed to make vitamin K? In your gut biome. You're supposed to make vitamin K in your gut. If you're not making vitamin K in your gut and you have a vitamin K deficiency, your gut biome sucks, probably because you have toxic bile. And as we regularly fix toxic bile in people's gut biomes, they stop needing, if they use vitamin K and they benefit from it, over time they don't need it. This is what we do. I have a video on this channel showing papers saying that vitamin A depletes vitamin K. Very straightforward papers. So what is vitamin A doing then? Making toxic bile, affecting the gut biome. You don't make vitamin K. Oh, wait, I saw a super chat or something. Hold on. Will is asking, are there any sauces that you can use? Not a lot. What does Grant Genereux do? He's salt. There's not. Okay. Let's get into this. Let me just make sure there's no more super chats. There's been a lot of comments today. I mean, this is great, folks. I appreciate this. This is good. Remember, super chats, if you want your stuff to go to the top, that's how super chats are how you can do it. I'm not great at keeping up with the chats because I just talk. Are there any sauces that you can use? If you were trying to be perfect, perfect is the enemy of good. If you were trying to be perfect, not really. I mean, maybe you could tweak something, but not really. If you were just going by low vitamin A and no evidence of toxicity, so like acetic acid, like vinegar. What is acetic acid? Well, that's a byproduct, downstream detox product of ethanol. Goes ethanol to acetaldehyde to acetic acid. And there's studies out there showing that acetic acid isn't that great for people. Do I still use vinegar and stuff? Yeah. Am I perfect? No. Am I willing to take the hit in that area? Yeah. So, if you want to be perfect, no. If you're okay with making some, what do I want to call them? The word's not coming to me. Exceptions. That's not the word I was looking for. But if you're okay with making some exceptions, because there are things on this diet, the way I do it, that like the people who obsess over the amount of vitamin A foods, they'll be like, I can't believe he allows that. I can't believe he allows that. We're getting people better and they're staying on the program. Driving people insane because you demand perfection in a diet will make you lose people and it will make people neurotic. I don't do that. I don't do it myself. I don't advocate it for people. Now, there are people on the program who are very, very strict and they find that they feel better that way. And some of those people can handle it. Grant can handle his diet of beef or bison, black beans, and brown or white rice. Grant is just fine with that. He doesn't try to get life enjoyment through food. He's having a good time doing all that other stuff, fixing all his old health problems. So am I. Do I cheat a bit? Or do I use foods that aren't exactly what the low vitamin A obsessed crowd would say are okay? Yeah. Do I seem pretty happy? I think I seem pretty happy. I'm enjoying life, getting rid of my problems. Do I have a little bit of seasonal allergies? Yeah. Do I know that that's a problem? Do I know that that's evidence of a problem? No. Now, let me go look up something. So, some people who want me to be the perfect vision of health don't realize that I have a small, they may not be old enough to realize what having a small business does, what trying to create a paradigm that goes against all of conventional medicine does to your stress level. They actually don't realize the amount of production in terms of content and new theories and all that stuff that I've come up with because they're new to this work. Once people have seen the amount of stuff I've put out there, does my brain ever shut off? No. Are people out in the health world going to go, well, that's not good for you? And I'm going to say, yeah, but it's the way I'm wired. You think this came about because I'm wired normally? No. Can me being wired this way, like deplete my, if you wanted to talk Chinese medicine, deplete my kidney yin energy? Sure. I don't calm down much. I don't sit around and not do stuff. I had somebody in my life tell me the other day, they're like, the amount of stuff you do on a regular basis is amazing. Is that going to be good for me? No. Am I willing to do it? Yeah. Am I wired that way? Yeah. Do you guys get a benefit from it? Yeah. Am I here to be a longevity person and live as long as humanly possible? Like, let's say I knew all this. Let's say I figured out all this stuff and I just kept it all to myself. And let's say I lived a super long time and I was super strict and I did nothing and I had no social life. I just lived in my little ascetic, like low vitamin A, low copper. I did nothing else. Didn't help anybody. Tried to just help myself. Would I be doing humanity any good by doing that? No. So if people want to say, why aren't you perfect? I'm not wired to be perfect. None of us are perfect. I'm just here trying to help people. So if people say, well, you look tired, Dr. Smith. Yeah, I don't always sleep enough. Can you learn from my mistakes? Sure. Haters want to come at me and say, I don't fit their vision of like the perfect male model. Whatever. Okay, cool. You do what I've done, then come and talk. I'm very proud of what I've done. People can think it's arrogance or whatever. I don't care. I'm very proud of what I've done here. I will come into the pearly gates, and if they say, are you proud of what you did in this life? And I'll say, heck yes. So Will is asking, is honey mustard, okay, or does it cause problems? You're asking, so we're going to get nitty gritty here. Is the acetic acid potentially a problem that is in mustard? Yes. Is the turmeric that is used in mustard, the color of turmeric is from carotenoids, folks, and polyphenols. Is that potentially a problem? Yes. Is the acetic acid, if I didn't already say acetic acid and vinegar, so we got the mustard seed, which is yellow. We got turmeric, which is yellow. We got acetic acid from the vinegar, which may not be great. We've got, what was the other thing? Not coming to me right now. Some of them add paprika. That's a nightshade. Not great. Oh, honey. Putting in a lot of fructose. Maybe not a lot. You're not using a lot of it. So could we have 5 potential problems in honey mustard? Sure. Is it dose dependent? Yes. So if you drown your stuff, so obviously the more you would use, the more a problem it is. The less you use, the less a problem is. Okay. I'm going to make an admission here, folks. I use mustard. I use organic mustard when I eat certain foods. Do I use it all the time? No. Are you going to take away my mustard because you want me to be perfect? You can go jump off a cliff. I'm going to keep eating my mustard because it keeps me on the overall program, because it helps me to enjoy that little bit of life. Is it good for me? No, I would say overall it's taking more than it's giving. But does it help me do better in all those other areas? Yes. Here's a hint, folks. Living is killing you. You don't get to escape this alive. Nobody does. Breathing is killing you. So, people who don't, if you don't want to do anything for your health, you're probably going to exit stage left this life much sooner than you have to. Somebody who's like, I want to drink and smoke and eat a bunch of vitamin A foods and not work out and, live the high life and just live on a beach and not do anything. You can do that. You can do that. I tend to see those people get really depressed and really irritable and really sick. And then the rest of their life is just grinding to death. I don't want that. I'd rather be exercising and happy and all that stuff as I go. Do I make, what's the word? Do I make little, somebody probably put the word down in the comments and I just don't have time to go find it. Do I make these little exceptions that I choose? I know what I'm doing. Am I taking responsibility and ownership of that choice? Yes, I am. So if somebody tries to come and say, well, you shouldn't be doing this, I don't care. I have made a choice. I'm an adult. I am here telling people you are here to make choices and be an adult. If you have not read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, I highly recommend it. And you apply that to the health realm of your life. So, like, Will, if you were doing great on your diet and you were like, I want to use some honey mustard, like if you were using, one of the problems that people get into, let me give you an example of how people mess themselves up. They start putting hot sauce on everything because they're addicted to it. Because spicy food is addicting, which is a drug effect. And they slowly get sicker and sicker and sicker and more inflamed and arthritic and irritable and all sorts of other health problems. Stomach cancer. Yeah. Could they, let's say they only used hot sauce once a month. Well, let's say they used it on 3 meals a day before. So that's 90 times they used it in a month, but they went down to 1 time a month. 90 times less. Is that going to be as big of a problem? No. So if you were using honey mustard on every single meal, might that be a problem? Does that add up? Yeah. But if you used it only once a week, is that a big difference? Yeah. Do you get to be an adult and make your own decisions? Yes, you do. Pay attention to how you feel after it. If it's actually enough that it noticeably affects how you feel, then don't eat it. Or no, I'm not going to say don't eat it. Here's the saying: is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the bad feeling worth the cheat, if you will? If it is, hey, it's your life. If it's not, if you go, man, like for the lactose intolerant people, they're like, I really love ice cream, but when I eat it, I crap my brains out. Is the ice cream worth the diarrhea? And if they say yes, I had a woman who told me straight to my face as I'm treating her with laser, $55 a treatment for her knee arthritis in both knees. I said, do you eat a lot of nightshades? And I went through nightshades, tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, eggplant. I grow tomatoes. I eat tomatoes all the time. I probably have tomatoes twice a day. I said, you know what? If you cut those out, you might get rid of your knee arthritis. And you don't have to pay me so much money. Imagine a doctor telling somebody how not to spend money with them. And she said, I would rather keep my arthritis and keep my tomatoes. Am I going to fault her? It's her life. So when you ask me, Will, and anyone else out there, can I use this? You can do anything you want to do. Actions have consequences. Dose-dependent reactions. The more you do of something bad, the more it's going to bite you in the ass. So do you get to take all of that information and then decide how much you're going to use of it? Am I here to approve your actions or not as being good or bad? I told you the bad. I told you what I do in my own life. Let me think back to how many times I had mustard in this last week. I don't think this last week. The only time I tend to have mustard is when I make hamburgers. I actually haven't had any hamburgers in the last week, so I haven't had any mustard in the last week. Okay. Had I eaten hamburgers, would I have had mustard with them? Yeah. Could I make a better choice and just put salt on those hamburgers? Yeah. Sometimes I do that. But so for those of you, let me just do one last thing before I got to go. If you, the deeper you're into your health issues, the more cheating you do, the longer it's going to take you to get out. As you become healthier and less toxic, are you able to cheat more and not have as big of an ass kicking from it? Yes. If you decide I'm fully, let's say you get to the point where you're like, I'm fully detoxed, I can eat whatever I want. Are you going to go back to the same damn position that you were before? Can you retoxify yourself? Yes. Are you ever out of this world's toxicity? No. Does it mean you have to be as strict later on as your health problems are gone? No. But you got to get there first, right? You want to get good at something in the early days, you have to study it a lot and practice it a lot and do a lot more. As you become a master, do you still need to practice and study? Yes. But do you have to do it like you did when you were a beginner? No. You've put in the hours. But if you don't put in the hours, do you get to be a master? No. It's the same thing with your health. When you are trying to regain your health in the beginning, the stricter you are, the more progress you're going to make, and you're going to notice it, and you're going to feel better, and then you're going to want to stick to it. Do you have to do the Grant Genereux diet? No. But do you need to do something that's good enough? What do you have to do to make progress? You have to decrease the level of toxins coming in to below the level of toxins that you can get rid of. So we're trying to increase the amount of toxins that you can get rid of, and we're trying to decrease the toxins coming in. It's a simple math equation, really. So if you start saying, well, I'm going to cheat on this, 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 which then tends to slow down your detox, and it goes down. And then you're like, why am I not getting results? Now, this is not you, Will. You're getting results. We know this. You post about your positive results all the time, which is awesome. But that's the math of it, folks. So if you're in the early stages going, well, I saw Dr. Smith, he said he eats mustard, so I'm going to have this, and I'm going to cheat on this, and I'm going to have this, and I'm going to have this because I just need it to enjoy my life. If you're sick, I'm 4 years into this. You're not, most likely. I've done my time. I've done my strict stuff. I've gotten my results. And now the cool thing is where I'm at now, if I start cheating too much, I feel it and I notice it and I go, oh, this is not cool. I need to go back to what I know works. Okay? So anyway, that's all for today. Hope you all enjoyed my ranting. Only 2.5 hours worth. My goodness, I got to go. I have an appointment. I will see you all next time. Bye now.